distant education in Turkey during the COVID-19 pandemic. I would like to introduce myself as a start, because I'll be presenting what happened to me as a teacher in Turkey during the pandemic. So, and what I have been doing as a teacher before pandemic, and what I have been doing since then. I have been a music teacher in a private school for a year and in government schools for 12 years. I have worked with various age ranges of students, such as preschool, primary school, secondary school, and I also worked for a special needs school. I have conducted choirs from these schools for the celebrations days of the country, such as Children's Day or 23rd of April. I have been working as a private piano teacher in Samsun since I was a student in music at the university. I taught many young musicians, so that I'm a well-known piano teacher in my city, and I had more than 20 students to teach who were used to taking a Associated Board of Royal Schools of Music exams every year in May and giving a concert every year in June. And my academic studies are based on special education methods in music education. After graduating in music, I have been working on teaching approaches in music such as Orschulwerk, Kodai, Dark Rose, and Suzuki. I studied Orschulwerk in my master thesis, and I have studied the effects of movement and play-based music education on special needs students for my PhD thesis. I'm a member of ORFDAR, a certified association by Karlov Foundation, which unites music teachers who are working in Orschulwerk area in Turkey. So I will present three main subjects that I've experienced as a teacher in formal education, in private lessons, and in my teaching career. I would like to introduce my country briefly. Turkey has had a great mosaic of cultures from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, as we have borders with them all, and has been a bridge over thousands of years between Europe and Asia. All the respective cultures in Turkey have been living together peacefully for years. The population of Turkey is over 85 million. I have to say that not 85 million of the population has the standard economic well-being. Although we were living the same storm, we were not in the same ships. Some were luckier than the others, even in education. You can see some numbers on this slide. The total number of students in formal education in Turkey is over 18 million, with more than 1 million teachers. In this total, we can see the government school numbers in red. The private schools numbers are in light brown, I suppose, and the distant education's numbers are in blue-gray. We have over 15 million students with nearly 943,000 teachers in government schools, nearly 1.5 million students with 175,000 teachers in private schools, and school numbers around the country and the classroom numbers are also as shown here. Next slide, we can see the numbers of students and also the numbers of the schools of preschools, primary schools, secondary schools, and high schools here. For each schools, we have more than 1.5 million students at preschool level and over 5 million students each primary, secondary, and high school levels. The first period of the pandemic started for Turkey on 16th of March to mid-April. Was the darkest period for the government school teachers and students, as everything happened suddenly. The Ministry of Education started to broadcast on a television channel called EBA TV, and teachers were guiding students to watch it. EBA is also the Ministry of Education's education portal, www.eba.gov.tr. And so we were sharing activities through this portal with our students and giving tasks. We thought it was just a temporary thing, and we would make up the lessons we missed while we met our students in late April in the beginning. And even as a music teacher, aware of new technology, it was all blind for me. I started to record hybrid music lessons videos to introduce the subject. We shared these videos on families' WhatsApp groups, on schools' YouTube channel, and also schools' Facebook pages. I was giving them tasks and activities to complete, and then they needed to record and send me back their send me their videos. Sorry. We were trying to reach all our students. Unfortunately, some of them had no Wi-Fi, no computer, no iPads, or no smartphones in their houses. On the other hand, I would like to say that I recorded these videos voluntarily, but no one has asked this from me. Meanwhile, private schools had started their online education lessons via Zoom by using teachers' personal Zoom accounts without a break. They've never stopped. And with my private students, we have continued one more week with my private piano students, and families wanted to have a break considering that this is a temporary situation. I warned the parents if the students won't practice, all the challenges we have achieved will disappear. As a teacher who has had a business administration degree, I could have seen that this would take at least 2 years for the world to reach the numbers that the scientists are talking about. And also, it might change a lot in our daily lives. When the world was changing, I couldn't sit down and wait for a miracle to happen. I knew that I have to adapt myself to this new world, but how? We were asked to make online lessons for the first time through EBA in late April and May. And there were many software problems considering the millions of students and teachers trying to use the same portal at the same time. I continued taking hybrid videos and sharing them with my students. Some of my classroom teachers' friends sent papers to their students. Addresses to study on them together on online lessons. And an important day was coming for my students in my country, late April. National Sovereignty and Children's Days was coming, and it was the 100th anniversary of this special day. I have my best childhood memories of this day, and I feel sorry for my students that we were not able to celebrate it as we always did on a stage singing cheerful songs. I have composed a hopeful children's song for them, and one of my friends has recorded it. We shared the song on 23rd of April as a present to children of our nation. Private schools continuing online lessons. However, it was not easy to put my nephew at the age of 6 and my niece at the age of 8 to their lessons as an auntie. They were getting bored indeed. I can say that private schools has started quickly, but I'm afraid teachers needed more support to develop their online teaching methods. And as a private students, students from this angle, Associated Board of Royal Schools of Music websites was very enlightening and very helpful for me. I have seen that the exams will be continued online, and there were several suggestions and helpful videos to support teachers on how to set up an online lesson. This was also another important sign that the world is turning. I started to give online private piano lessons through Zoom. I was confident with teaching one student through the screen. by using all the facilities of the application. But what about teaching music to a group of students online? In a music lesson, I'm able to play the piano or ukulele and sing the song that I'm teaching, whilst I'm able to listen to every single student singing, which means that I was developing the lesson according to their needs from what I heard. But how I was supposed to do that on a Zoom, on an online lesson. Although Zoom is perfect to unite us in a screen, it is impossible to have an experience like this anymore. I have decided to look forward and focus on the aims that I can teach through the screen, instead of sticking to the idea of thinking things I used to do in a real classroom. I need to be more creative, and we, who are a member of Ausland Music and Preschool Teachers, started have online meetings every Saturday in May 2020 to share our experiences during this time. One of us was sharing a sample of his or her lessons to give an idea to the others, because we knew that we need each other in this very uncertain time of our career, and they were helpful so much. The schools was never physically opened once it was closed in mid-March 2020 for the academic year 2019 and 2020. We started distant education in mid-August to September. Unfortunately, we still had to use the EBA portal, which ruins everything. There were connection problems, and to avoid these, our schedule was spread over 7 days and ridiculous hours, such as having a music lesson 8 o'clock on a Saturday evening. So there were no students. And we were told that we had to find at least one student for that lesson to be counted that it's made. It was very difficult to convince, especially special needs students' parents, to put their children to the lessons, as the nature of the work is harder than the others. And I felt myself as a salesman, because we were calling the parents and texting them, please attend these lessons to keep one of them at least. And schools were partly open in late September and were open for all grades and all students in October until mid-November. As the COVID numbers came down, I started with most of my private piano students face-to-face again with our masks. Oh, sorry, I forget to tell that. Meanwhile, I know from my sister, from my cousins, and from my students, the parents has bought the second iPads or second computers or anything they need, like printers, to the house, because they need these facilities. All started donated the house with these things. And we have started face-to-face lessons with most of my private piano students. And two of my students represented Turkey on Global ABRSM High Scores virtual concert. I have attended an online summer course from the Kodály Institute, Hungary, and of course from America in July. I have given seminar to music teachers on teaching music at home in Turkey, teachers in Turkey, and I have started to record my own songs on my computer. However, these were amateur recordings. I have attended Orfdars International online courses in October, and after having and giving all these presentations, I was feeling myself more confident in online classroom teaching and what to do and what goals I'm looking for. The schools switched to distant education by mid-November again. as we have experienced everything since March, we were more confident on what we will be doing. As a government school teachers, started to use personal Zoom accounts are linked to EBA, so that we were able to conduct the lessons through our accounts. Hooray! we don't need to start the idea. Also we were able to arrange the schedule according to our students' availability. But after a while, they were losing their enthusiasm to attend the lessons. In the end of December, our school received 2 iPad donations, which were given to 2 of our students. And the first term of the academic year 2020 and 2021 ended by 22nd of January. We were still doing distant education. And I keep attending online international courses meanwhile, and this has been one of the positive effects, having had the opportunity to unite lecturers with music teachers all around the world without any travel costs. And schools partly opened again in March, but switched to distant learning again this week. They are still open only for the 8th grade of secondary school students who will be taking their high school entry exams, and the 12th grade of the high school students who will be taking their university entry exams in the end of academic year. And I have put 4 of my private piano students on ABRSM online exams by now, and I'll talk about it. We had lots of rumors turning around, and we still have these. Like some lessons will be in distant learning in the future, and essential lessons will stay in face-to-face, things like that. It has always been a question in my country as a music teacher, that what is really essential for students? What is really essential for a preschool student? What is the essential lesson for primary school student? And also special needs students indeed. We all know the answers by heart, that expressing their feelings and expressing who they are by one of these non-essential activities like singing, dancing, drama, playing games, painting, drawing, sporting, we can add a lot into this. This is I think the essential things for them, and I'm still looking for solutions to give more inspiration beyond the screen for all my private students and special students, because being in the same room with a musician and listening to music from a computer can never be the same experience. I have moved to UK last month, and I'm giving online piano lessons to 15 of my students who are in Turkey now. And I put my I also said it, I'm preparing my teaching on online teaching materials at the moment. I have owned my professional audio recording equipment. I have started to record my songs with a better quality now. And I'm attending international courses and learning a lot from my colleagues, and started to working on the program called OBS to use virtual effects on my presentations for lessons. And I would like to share some of photos, what I'm doing on my teaching, how I'm using Zoom. I'm dividing the screen into, here is the score, and the piano, using the piano this way is more accurate for them. And also we can do all theory work together. We can, because we are working with our hands, we do finger studies in here like this, you can see. Thank you very much for listening to me. And I would like to end my presentation with the sentence that I really learned in last year. We are the best when we share and when we work together. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Gülin. How true this is. Yes, really. So before we ask you the question, I think we just change to Ayşun, that she can tell us about her perspective, and afterwards we will go into the questions.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Share.
yeah, I think I can share mine now. Gülin, I think you should stop your share.
Okay. If I find I'm having a little bit difficulties on this.
When you scroll on the screen, there should be a red thing.
No, on the top, I can see it in orange. If you scroll a little bit up with your mouse, yes, go up, 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 up. A little bit more.
This one?
Yes, no, a little bit more. No, I can see it right
here.
No, it's gone. Perhaps.
Ama biraz dolaştırırsan sayfanın üstünde en üstte vardı. Rahat görebilirsin. Biraz dolaştır mouse'unu.
Isabel, kannst du sonst kurz helfen?
Yeah, I'll try. Can I
Is it this one?
have remote control?
It's what I can do. If I do this, is it this one?
Şu an ekranda bir şey görünmüyor ama.
Ay ben şu an her şeyi mahvettim. Hah, buldum.
Okay.
Ah.
Great. Great. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, and here is mine. Yeah. Can you see it clearly? Great. This is my presentation, and I just want to first of all thank you for being here and for being with us. And we, as Gülin stated, like all countries, Turkey also have been through many difficult times throughout this COVID pandemic days. And before I start how we dealt with this pandemic situation in Turkish higher education, I just want to start by talking about myself. And my name is Aysun Güneş, and I'm working at Anadolu University as a lecturer in School of Foreign Languages, and I'm teaching English to university students and to academics as well. And before that, I worked for the Ministry of National Education as a high school English teacher for around 4 years. And that was a bit difficult because it was in the remote part of Turkey. It was in Ağrı. And we had very difficult times there as well, but not because of the COVID, but because of, we had some problems with our border countries. And let me see. Okay, I'm working as an educational technology consultant and trainer for Pearson as well. And with Pearson, I'm giving trainings to private schools and universities, to teachers, how to integrate technology in their lessons. And also, as I told you before, I'm an English teacher and I'm a member of TESOL, and I'm working as a teacher trainer for TESOL as well. And I'd like to talk about this because I'm really proud of this. I like working in European projects, and now these days, for 3 years, for the last 3 years, I've been working for ESLP, and this is a short learning program project, and we developed a course on digitally competent educators, and I created a module there on how to integrate and use Web2 tools in teaching and enriching learning environments. And for that reason, we worked with a Finnish university. It was Jyväskylä University, a German university, it was Hagen University, and a Portuguese university, it was Alberta University, and that worked quite well. And after the pilot phase, now we have around 70 students from around Europe, and it's going great. And I had my master's degree and still trying to do my PhD on open and distance education and e-learning environments. And I did my master's on the development of 21st century skills and digital citizenship by using online learning environments. And I believe that it is quite important for people to get used to the world they are living these days. And the last thing that I'm proud of is my Instagram account. I love it because I have the chance to reach many people around the world. And thanks to this account, I met Zeynep, who helped me to be a part of this webinar. And in this Instagram account, I'm giving some tips to parents about how to deal with problems about technology or problems about the age of technology and our kids as well. So let's start, but as Gülin did, I just want to start with some numbers, but these numbers are about higher education. And you can see the beautiful picture of Boğaziçi University. It's one of the best universities of Turkey. And as Turkish people, we're somehow like we have a very young generation, and Turkey has the largest higher education student population in the European higher education area with 207 universities. That's a big number, and most of these universities were set in the last years. And 129 schools, universities are state universities, and 78 of them are foundation, private universities, with a total nearly of 8 billion students, and that's a great number. And as we all have, after the March 16th, the universities in Turkey suspended face-to-face teaching, and education was rapidly replaced by digital online formats. And on these days, we had a question in our minds, as all educators had it: were we ready yet? Actually, that was a tough question because we needed to think about it, but we didn't have any time to think about it because we needed to be ready for that beforehand. But I wonder how well we were ready. Before I answer this question, I can say that I was quite lucky because I'm working at Anadolu University, and it is famous for its open education faculty. And it is, as far as I know, it is the second biggest university in terms of open education, with more than 2 million students in the world. So we had a good infrastructure of technology in terms of teaching. But when we asked this question among teachers, we came up with some issues, and the main issues are infrastructure, online access, digital competency of lecturers, and resistance to digital learning environments. So when I think about the infrastructure, and Gülin also told about this, is that we didn't have enough technological devices at our homes, and also at schools. Some of the schools were not ready to undergo such a big online education thing at all. So they had difficulties, and even our Ministry of National Education had difficulties with so many, money with them, but they couldn't do it with the EBA system because they had problems with the system as well. And Turkish higher education had similar problems. Some of the universities decided that they didn't want to go on with the courses, and they suspended them very clearly. They stopped giving courses for 2 months, and they said we will go on. And some of the universities said, okay, we can use Zoom, but they use it without thinking how to do it. So that was a problem with the infrastructure. They had some big problems with the software, with the technical equipments as well. And the online access another problem. For example, in my house, we have free Wi-Fi, but when we started doing this online teaching and learning, I'm not the only one using the internet at home, and we see that internet is not enough for us, and we upgraded our bill, and then we needed to make an upgrade in our bill because it wasn't enough for us. So online access is not only about the amount of Wi-Fi, but in some parts of Turkey, students may not have the chance to get any Wi-Fi or internet access. And digital competency of teachers, I think that is quite a bit of problem, because some teachers could not even open up a Zoom account or Zoom meeting, and we started to think about this, how we can handle this. And that was a problem. That was a big problem for us. And at that point, we started to think about in-house trainings. But we're all educators, and it is easy to say that we have some resistance to having trainings all the time, and in such difficult times like this, because some of the teachers had COVID, and some of the teachers' relatives or kids had COVID, and they were dealing with some health issues, and some of them didn't want to attend these webinars or trainings, but they had to. And the last one is the resistance to digital environments. And we had this kind of lecturers, professors who never wanted to teach in digital environments. And that was another problem, because the ones that don't know how to use digital things is a good thing, because we can work on it. But if they are resistant, it is quite difficult for us to handle it, because they openly say, we don't want to do it. But we said, I'm sorry, but you have to. No, I won't do it. They resisted it, but at the end, thanks God, we have some, legacies and policies, and they had to do it. But resistance stays with them as well. And another issue is this problem on definitions. We were quite fine with using the term distance education, distance learning, but actually I kept saying this because my major is open and distance education, and what we are doing now is not distance education. Actually, distance education has a planned background, and these plans are all done for a remote teaching experience. And when I said distance education is different, I can say that it has a systematic approach. And when I'm creating a lesson for distance education, I need to have a technical guide. I need to have a content producer. I needed to have an area specialist. I needed to have a pedagogical advisor, etc. And these are difficult to do it, but in open education systems, we have those guys. But what we are doing, we just let our teachers or lecturers and tell them that do your courses online. That was it. And no one told them how to do it at first. And Gülin, you remember on the first days, we had a bit difficulty how to create courses, because all of these students were getting bored in the lessons, and so do us. we were the same way because we didn't know how to handle those situations. So we decided to get better on it. But let's turn to this emergency distance learning. It is difficult, I said, because when we are talking about emergency distance learning, it is not an option like we have in distance learning. In distance learning, you may want to get some courses online. Let's say I want to have a course on Coursera. I can have it and I can leave it whenever I want. It is an optional thing. But if you are talking about emergency distance learning, it is a necessity for all the learners and the educators. And the primary objective in these circumstances is not to recreate a robust educational ecosystem. So what we need to do is to adapt to it very quickly and keep the education going. That's the key thing. And these, we know these blended courses, hybrid courses, or face-to-face courses. They're all different things. But what we are doing now is emergency distance learning, and I believe that that's a very quite important thing that we need to be aware of. And how did we deal with the move from face-to-face to online delivery? In the first phase, I can say that in the first 3 months, we immediately moved our face-to-face course contents to our learning management systems. At Anadolu University, we are using Canvas with a different name. It was named like Mergen system. And we copied all our courses there. We created some courses. We redesigned some courses, but we immediately moved our courses there. And because we had a background in terms of distance education and emergency situations, we gave some in-house trainings to other universities, and that was more than 25 state universities. We tried to share what we know about open and distance education and how to create courses. And in the second phase, during the summer break, we tried to redesign our courses, because now we said, okay, we have time now and we can correct what we are doing wrongly. And at that phase, we redesigned our courses to fit the needs of open and distance education, and lesson hours were also arranged accordingly. At this point, I just want to say that you all know and you all experienced that online courses, Zoom courses, Zoom lessons are very difficult to manage. You need to get ready beforehand, and it takes a long time. And if you are not ready to, or if you don't know how to do this, it gets more and more difficult. So for that reason, in Higher Education Council decided that if a lesson is 3 hours, lecturers need to do just 1 hour. 2 hours were saved for getting ready for the lesson, and that was a good thing. And in the third phase, in-house trainings were held to improve the digital skills of lecturers, and also instructional design basics were underlined. And one important thing happened at that point as well. Exam procedures were revised. That was important because in the first 3 months, K-12 teachers and schools and higher education, we had some problems by assessing the learners. We didn't know how to assess them. And in national education system, they said no exams, no grades were given, and students get full grades at the end of their terms. But higher education, at universities, we said that, okay, we will give some assignments to our students, and most of the educators, or say lecturers, gave projects to their learners. And unfortunately, the problem that we faced at that point was the plagiarism. Students try to cut, copy, and paste from internet sources, and at that point, schools understood that they need to have some plagiarism detector programs like Turnitin. That was another issue. And in our trainings, we said that they need to learn how to implement formative assessments, because we always focus on summative assessments, which only assesses the end production. But in time, we said we need to be assessing their processes as well, and that lessens the amount of plagiarism. And we hope so, but still have some problems about plagiarism, I need to admit that. And in the fourth phase, a new semester started with better content, and users are used to learning in online environments. And I can say that, especially for university students, they say, "Hi teacher, it's good to be here because we find this more flexible, and I think that we are becoming more autonomous." Of course, it may change from student to student, but the only thing they miss about school is their friends and their friendship environments when they were talking about university. And now we're in the last phase. I mean, we still have some issues on access, on equity. We still have some students who cannot access any tech devices, any internet. And I remember one of my students, I was doing some speaking exam in the first phase, and I told them that I will send you your question and you will just take a video with your phones. And I saw one of my students who was living in a very small room with three brothers, three little brothers in the same room. They didn't have any other rooms, and while he was trying to record himself, other kids were screaming and yelling in the room. And at the end, I felt pretty sorry, because my student told me that, "I'm very sorry, teacher, and in Turkish, I don't want to do this, but I need to do it because of the grades." And that was very a sad event. And of course, I still have some problems with educators about resistance. And also we have some applied sciences, the medicine and other departments like sports faculty, medicine, and they need to practice something. They need to do some, issues. They are not still decided yet, and that's a very big issue with the university students and university system. So as an educator, what did I do? And to make use of the digital resources and tools, I changed some of my routines. And here some of them are given below. And the first one is I redesigned my lessons. Also, although my major is open and distance education, I'm giving face-to-face courses at university. And for that reason, I needed to redesign and think about my courses. And I like using Web2 tools, and for that reason, I choose web tools to enhance my lessons. And for that reason, I have a toolbox for Web2 tools, like Mentimeter to warm up my kids, and Padlet to cooperate, Canva to create content, etc. I like switching between these tools to, spice up our lessons. And I set up a routine. That's very important, I guess, for personal view. I believe that I needed to go with my routine. I never get up late on these days. I always stick to my routine, and I kept telling this to my friends, to my husband, to my kid, and to my students as well. And the good thing is that we collaborated a lot with colleagues, and digital learning processes had given us some opportunities in terms of collaboration. We wanted to learn from each other. For that reason, we shared knowledge a lot. And in Turkey, we held summits, we had conferences. And the funny thing, let's say not funny, maybe surprising thing, is that we even have some meetings on Instagram or on Twitter or on Clubhouse. We try to cooperate and share what we know, what we have been through. And that was great in terms of, because we didn't have such a community spirit before. and that helped us to have this spirit. And I personally kept giving private courses and in-house trainings as well. And these trainings were not only in Turkey, but also in other European countries to other European university lecturers. And I learned a lot from them, and they hopefully learned something from me. And exchanging ideas and experiences were great for me. And thank you. That's it. Let me do it very, very quickly. And up.
Thank you, Aysun. Also, it was really interesting to hear you and Gülin, because you are living in the same country, you are working in different groups of students. So I'll give you the first question. You have such huge dimensions in your university. So how did you coordinate each other? How did you work together primarily in the start of the COVID time?
Okay, at first, actually, there were some people chosen, and it's not difficult to guess that it was one of me. And we try to coordinate our teachers, our lecturers on this issue. We created some study groups, and we created some groups to work on the curriculum, some groups to work on the assessment, and some groups to work on the creation of the online content. And each of these groups worked collaboratively with each other. But for the first 3 months, it was not that. We started doing this at the beginning of June, because the first 3 months was like we were all lost in Turkey. And also there were some issues that we couldn't handle and didn't know how to solve it, because as Gülin said, I remember that some key stakeholders only focused on the numbers. I mean, the quantity is more important for them than the quality. We didn't have the chance to focus on the quality of our lessons, but we just focused on, okay, how many lessons did you do today? How many students were there in your classroom? And that was nothing, actually, because some of our students were not able to just reach the lessons. So this quality quantity thing impressed me a lot. And the organization was quite easy, because as I told you before, in at Anadolu University, we had that background and the foundation of technological foundation. So we didn't have that much time, that much difficulty in that.
Can any one of you say something about kindergarten or preschool, how this worked when in the times of the real lockdown? How did you teach them, and how did it work?
I can talk about preschool, because one of my nephew was in preschool last year, and he was going to private school, and in the first lockdown they were when it started in mid-March, it never opened the end of for the academic year again. They were all in the house, and they were doing distant education. And in this distant learning, they had 30 minutes of 2 or 3 lessons in a day. And one of them was English, 2 of them was with games with preschool teachers and friends. But it was really hard to put him into those lessons. I need to I will give you a chocolate if you attend this lesson. I need to motivate him. I will watch a movie with you if you attend this lesson, or And what happened in this year, he's in primary school, first grade. Again, he's doing very well. If I sit down with him and listen to the teacher and tell him what's going on, because really I can say that yes, private schools are doing online lessons, but no, they don't use technology effectively that they need to. They are doing the usual classroom lesson on an online lesson. They don't use the facilities of technology indeed.
May I add something here, Aysun, if I don't disturb? This is also a topic very near and dear to my heart. Hi, everyone. Since the beginning of the whole story, I've been following very closely what happened in Turkey, and also thanks to Rahel and the LinkedIn discussions we had here with the Swiss teachers, I had a chance to follow both parts. And I had also a chance to have some very vivid discussions and some online talks with the kindergarten associations in Turkey. Primary school and kindergarten, there's a union of teachers, of course, there, and also the daycares. So there are these three. The thing is exactly like what Gülin explained now is a private school, obviously. So they have the digital stuff going on, but even there was the problem. The teachers were really tired as they were forced somehow to make the kids sit in front of the screen. And it was pretty funny because I was constantly reporting about the situation in Switzerland to also a little bit inspire. I find this very valuable. Back then I was shortly working temporarily in a primary school, and how we tried to get less screen times with the students, how we tried that they had some small tasks that they could do perhaps in the garden with the family and so on, whereas some kindergarten students had to teach like 6 hours in front of a screen, which I find disaster.
Okay, I think Connie asked something about the government help on the chat box, and I can say that at first there were nearly no help from the government, and still some of the students couldn't reach any iPads or any internet, especially in the region where I worked before as a high school teacher. It was the eastern part of Turkey on the border with Iraq and Iran. And there were so many students who are having difficulty in accessing such technological devices and Wi-Fi, especially in the villages. There were nearly no Wi-Fi. They can be thankful if their fathers have a nice cell phone with them. And that was a very bad thing, because even at universities, our students are coming from all around Turkey. And some of my students are living in villages, some of my students are living in the very heart of Istanbul, and they can reach anything they want. And I'm working in Eskişehir. It's like a European city, so we can have the chance to reach anything that we want, but we couldn't let the other students out of this learning atmosphere, but we couldn't do. But good things also happened, not the government, but some teachers, some, community groups get together, and they, collected money for this good deed, and they helped children without iPads or computers by giving them free Wi-Fi connected tablets. But that was in the 6th or 7th month of this thing. So we had a big loss of learning in Turkey, and that is undeniable. Unfortunately, we had this big loss, and people insist on focusing on the health thing. Yes, that's also very important, but we didn't invest on our education. We skipped that part, and I think that is the worst part of it, unfortunately.
So how's the situation? Oh no, another question. You told that the TV, you were broadcasting some I don't know, lessons, or was it just entertainment or edutainment, or how do we have to imagine that?
It is starting from morning to the midnight, I suppose, because it's scheduled for they have separate channels for primary school, secondary school, and high school, and for every grade they scheduled the lessons. And for example, if you are a grade 1 student, your lessons are between 1 and 3 or 1 and in the morning, 3 days of a week or 4 days of a week. If you are in grade 2, you know, you can follow the program on their broadcasts, and we were also saying that your music lesson will start at this time, and you can reach all these lessons. It was broadcasting on television, Turkish radio and television. It's called TRT. Because for whom don't have a Wi-Fi or smartphones, it's the only way for them to reach. To reach, they could have followed these programs, these channels. And also, this was new to the country because they have set up studios, and they need to find teachers to do these videos, record these videos, and put them into program. And they worked very hard too.
Yeah.
Our schools or lessons centrally controlled in normal times, so every first grade has to speak about this and this topic, or is it free in the schools when they are working on a certain topic?
The whole year's program is written and given by government to all schools, and it's a nation, something like we all know that what we are, all the aims are the same indeed, and those lessons are based on those aims for the month or for the week. What we need to do, if we were in a real classroom, what we supposed to do, and there was a teacher who is giving this lecture or advising things, and this is all to do with the programs, educational program, but not from maybe not from in the classroom, but you have the recorded videos of a teacher that are ready to teach you.
And also we had some problems about, you know, turning on the cameras part. Most of the students didn't want to turn on their cameras, and it was quite difficult for such courses because we couldn't see them, we couldn't you know, create a bond with them. And for the first time students, it was much more difficult. And I kept telling them, please turn on your cameras because I just want to see you. Some of them resisted, some of them said, okay, and they keep turning on their cameras. That was a thing. And some of the other issues we dealt with was the, you know, ethical issues, because we have some legislation, some rules about the privacy on digital environments, and some of the students use this right that we didn't want to show our faces on screens, so they rejected our offer. And they didn't want to be shown on the screens. And actually, there were so many ethical issues if we are talking about, you know, the learning analytics, how to assess students. In online environments, that's another, that's the other face of the medallion. It's another problem. If we are talking about online environment, we need to plan it very well, but this was unplanned. This came in a moment. So we have been through and we learned during the process. And as Gülin said, all teachers worked really hard to give better lessons, to help their students interact and be a part of their lessons. I'm sure that all of the teachers around the world had the same problems as well. Not only Turkish teachers. It's very difficult for a teacher who has been giving face-to-face courses throughout all his or her years, and suddenly they turn to online screens, and it's difficult to get used to the situation. What do you think? Actually, I really wonder, what do you think as well? Because you are working there, and your thoughts are also quite important for us.
I just wanted to add something. Sometimes in my private lessons, when they don't want to talk, I write them on chat box, and they started to write on there what they are thinking about. Or when I send emoji, they like reactions. They love them when I use reactions, and they feel more motivated. And we had other ways to reach them. Chat box is something like talking to ears, become like that. I also wanted to add, with a classroom teaching, it's easy to have 15 or 16 students, because you can see what they are doing. But the hardest thing is in a classroom teaching, really to see what all of them is doing. They are all engaged to the lesson, or are they really doing what I want them to do, or they just enjoy themselves there? You can never be sure about it. If the numbers, if I said that I've attended lots of lectures with lots of music teachers, and also I have given a lecture, and I prefer to have the number with 25 to see what they are really doing, because if I have more than 25 participants, I can't see all of them in a one screen. You need to go and come back. It's not really easy to conduct the process. Hello. And I use these ones. Sometimes they don't want to move with me, but they want to move with the toy.
And mine is here. Among Us is one of their favorites. And
I use my these pencils. Pens are very helpful for them, according to what I teach. To do with what I teach. Sometimes they do some magics from here to there.
And there were some constant changes as well. For example, in Turkish higher education, some of the courses were moved to online systems forever. For example, I'm giving the basics of research, social studies, social research in the Faculty of Education, and this course and some statistics course were moved to online platforms forever. That was a big change for Turkish higher education system. Some courses like these were taken to online platforms, and they say they won't take it back to face-to-face in our education system. And the good things are students are getting more flexible. Yeah, this is a good thing, and learning environments are getting more flexible. And I believe that, of course, this COVID thing made us to do these changes, but I believe that these will happen in a day or so in our future. So we will do it somehow, but we had to do it with COVID days, with the pandemic. So we are getting used to it. It's just like a very disruptive change for all of us. That was a very big change for all the humanity. Every country, every students, every lecturers, teachers, they changed the way they learn. They changed the way they teach lessons. And the resistant people, the resistant teachers who doesn't want to do it online, maybe started to think about it. I don't say they changed, but they started to think about it, and that's a good thing, because we need to think like our students think. because we are guiding them and we are trying to be the guide for them. As they say, not the sage on the stage, but the guide on the side. I love this phrase. And we need to be guiding them. And talking all the time and just teaching is not the way they like now. They want to participate. They want to learn from other sources. I can see my son, he is just 10 years old. And when I think about how was when I 10 years old, and he was just like a geek. He just like knows everything, because he learns from YouTube, he learns from books, he learns from experiments, and he combines it. That was a little kid, and this is quite different and more professional for high school or let's say university students. They had so many options and they see it and they wanted to use it. And maybe this COVID thing made us think about how we improve the way we think.
You make a difference between emergency distance learning and real distance learning. So aren't you afraid of people will mix these things and it will be a step back, even because they think, oh no, it's boring and I'm just in front of the camera and so on?
No, actually, I'm not afraid of it, because in time people see that if there are some lacks that they need to correct, they will correct it. If there is a misunderstanding now, okay, I kept saying, yes, there is a difference, but okay, then use it. No problem, because in time you will see the difference. They will see the difference. They will feel it, because the difference is quite obvious. When you are taking a course on, let's say, Coursera or edX, they're quite famous, you know, and you know how an online learning environment is set up, and they have their synchronous and asynchronous learning materials, and they are well designed, they are well planned. But when we talk about the thing that we are doing in Turkey, we only have our live courses. We don't have so many, you know, asynchronous materials. And many of the schools or universities, they do not support their learning with asynchronous materials. I mean, they need to provide some games if they are kids. They need to provide some articles, some research results, some informative videos, and they should be asynchronously on their learning management system. And if we provide these opportunities to the students, they will have the chance to move between these sources, and they have the chance to see different sources, and maybe they will decide, okay, I'm a visual learner, I can learn from videos more, or oh, I like reading articles, okay, I learn from them more. And this helps to improve their autonomy as well. And we need this in online learning environments. Actually, the problem that we have when we started online learning with kids is that actually distance learning environments are designed for adult learners, not the kids. So when you look at, I'm creating courses for open education faculty, and we think about, you know, adult learners, not the kids, and the courses, the atmosphere, all created for them. But when as Gülin said, or Zeynep said, 6-year-old kids, 4-year-old kids, even the preschoolers, they just sit on the screen, sit in front of a screen, and spend there around 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. My kid is 10 years old, and he starts lessons at 8:90 in the morning and starts around 4 in the afternoon. So for that time, he is in front of the screen. And of course they get bored. They're kids. What do we wait? What are we waiting for? We all wait for, okay, teacher, okay, teacher. They won't say that. And they will get bored. And I see my son, he is playing with his nerves, you know, those trifles, when he is listening something, or he gets his teddy bear and plays with it, and some drawings, because he gets bored. It's very normal. This situation is not meant for them. We need to, how can we do it then? We need to add more games, more interactivity, own learning environments, and this needs to be done in time. It cannot be done very quickly, because learners and students also should learn how to create such environments. And if you let me speak, I will speak also. Please stop me sometimes.
And just one thing, Aysun and I are fiercely promoting the school openings in Turkey in various channels. And I give the example Switzerland all the time. I'm the bad guy always in all the platforms, but I don't care, because it's very important that the kids in another country has also this chance. I give them, hey, we just had the school close 1.5 months. I have a kid going to primary school. I worked in a primary school. No, I mean, she and I, we are fiercely promoting in every channel possible, please open the schools for kids. Minimum in a hybrid position, because so many kids have now experiencing real damages because of huge screen time. And I hear a lot that, yeah, you live in Switzerland. Yeah, yes, but it is possible to do. Please take a good example from somewhere that it works. And let the kids have their childhood, because it's tremendous damage. I hope they at one point take another step for that. I'm happy to be the bad guy for it.
Me neither. Okay, so one last thing maybe. I remember we had 3 weeks openings at schools, and my son had that 3 weeks, and he was the happiest guy in the world. He was just, you know, singing. I saw him singing while he was going to school, because he says, Mom, I missed my school. And he just got up very happily and got ready for the school, because he wanted to interact, play with his friends, with his teachers. And all of the students missed this feeling, not only the K-12 students, but also university students as well. And also we missed our students. I really want to, I'm a so touchy person. I like touching on our, you know, this one, that's a good job. I like touching my students, and I miss that feeling. And because it shows that we are with you, we support you, we are here for you, but we just say it on the screen now. And for kids, it's not enough.
If you have got the time at 7 p.m., just in 45 minutes, Julian from Panama will exactly speak about this problem. His kindergarten teacher, and children are in homeschooled for 1 year right now, and during several weeks they were not allowed to go out of the flat, to go out, to leave the house, and he will speak exactly about that, so it could be interesting.
And I think Connie asked...
mute.
Oh, sorry.
Great. I have been muted. So it's me? Yeah. Yes, afterwards, Julian will speak about exactly this problem. The children in Panama had to be homeschooled during a whole year right now. They were not allowed to leave their houses. They had to stay inside for several weeks. And he's still working with the kindergarten children from in their home, in their flats. So via remote teaching, it could be interesting for you to listen afterwards, but it will be in German. So
Okay. All right. I think there is a question here as well, and I didn't want to miss it. Are there usually annual tests or assessment at primary and secondary schools in Turkey? Yulin, maybe you will answer this. In the chat box.
Look.
I suppose it was just for you. We can't see it.
We don't see it, Aysun.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so I can say that yes, there are some annual tests for not for primary schools but secondary schools, right? We have
Yes.
8th graders and 12th graders.
Yeah, but there are some I will say mutual exam, is it right? They do for all grades on one day for a lesson. Yes, we had it, but I don't know how they do it, how they cope with it. I heard that the schools was opened just to have these tests because they need to mark students,
but they weren't graded.
Yes, and to give marks to these students, schools was opened in March, and now it was closed this week, I suppose, this or next week. I haven't followed the news in Turkey. Now it's just open for 8th and 12th grades because they have an entry exam, but the others are just to do with marking. It's not very important for their education lives.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions or thoughts? Yes.
I've seen Turkish kids in Deutsche Masse working with Turbo Mathematik and asked them how they do it and how they liked it, and they told me they missed their friends and the things at school. And I thought in Switzerland, I was wishing or hoping that a hybrid or something in between is a solution in between could be found. I bought an iPad and a pen, and I was very into Loom screening and stuff, and I liked it. And then they said, oh, we go back to normal. Oh, and now we go back to normal. And I was like thinking, what was this kind of investment I did?
Catherine, I have to add something. 2 weeks ago, I had a talk with a Schulleiter, a school director, and I asked him, so what is your vision of, in case it doesn't happen, but in case a lockdown happens, do you have an emergency plan? And he went and took like a folder like this. He showed me. He had an informatic background, so I was a bit surprised. Now, we give every teacher one of these to take home. So all the exercises are here. So in case a student cannot come to school because he has to be in quarantine or something else, he has everything here ready. We are fully prepared for it. I was like, okay, that's not exactly what I had in mind, but it's good to hear.
I want to add something. The vaccination program has started in Turkey, but unfortunately, teachers were not in the list. Still, were not in the list. They have vaccinated starting from high ages. Okay, I understand it. And now I moved to UK. When I come to here, the first difference that I've seen, the country is in lockdown, but everyone is going to their schools. Why in Turkey we just give up on school in the first? I mean, we can't go. We can be in a lockdown. They can stop restaurants. They can stop shopping malls or shopping centers. They can close them and continue education by vaccinating teachers. But I think the real questions, the real solutions are they are not looking at it. And also, again, with this online teaching issue, these are all teacher's hands. If a teacher wants to do it, and if teacher wants to develop himself or herself, it goes on well. But if teacher just stick in the idea, again, it doesn't work at all. And again, for children, I think we need to get into their world. We need to create better things that keep their attention alive, that keep them here, but also moving around here, because they need to feel the 3-dimension also, not just here. They not just screen, because it's not good for their eyes to just look at the screen for a long time. Lots of things to talk about.
Okay, even I am playing with this through all of my lessons. I like to do and work. I mean, I like playing with it all the time because you know, relaxes me, because it's quite a disturbing thing to look at the screen all the time. You need to do something different and think about kids. It's getting weird for them, right? And now we're seeing a kid right now. Okay, great.
There's time for a last question. Who wants it? Or do you want to know something from Switzerland, Aysun and Gülin?
Actually, we are quite lucky because Zeynep informs of us all the time in his Instagram account about the education in Switzerland, and she's a good representative, I guess. And the thing that we keep thinking about how we made education so valueless in Turkey, because you know, closing down the schools is not the solution, and we can find a solution, but that was the easiest one, because you know, the maintenance of schools is quite you know, pricey, and you know, the teachers, they were extra hours and they needed to pay for these things, and they decided not to do it. So and as Gülin said, we haven't been vaccinated yet. And do you know who are vaccinated and on the list? Footballers. They are playing football in with no audiences, no spectators, and they're going to be vaccinated in a week or so. And tourism workers, because tourism brings so much money to Turkey, and they prefer to vaccinate these touristic guides, tourism guides, and teachers. No one needs to think about teachers or students, because education, we just I think we just don't focus on how important it is. And as Zeynep said, people blame us about thinking about opening schools, but I blame them for not thinking about the loss of education. That's a very important thing, because we know that it is important. If we want to develop our country, if we want to develop ourselves, we need to focus on education. But it's they just choose the easy way.